Facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Bel Aire to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest in understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association, be it now resolved for Mayor Jim Bonage, I do hereby designate the week May 19th through the 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with the representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing the quality of life for all.
Thank you. Next proclamation is Memorial Day 2024. So to the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas in 1868, Memorial Day has been uniquely an American day of remembrance on which we pay our respect and honor the memory of our more than 1 million Americans who died in battle and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedoms. And whereas in keeping with the traditions that have preceded us, many of us have friends and family members who have selfishly given themselves to the future of this great nation and who honor on this day. And whereas these soldiers were someone's child, spouse, parent, and it is important that we remember every day in the great nation that our freedom came at a price. And whereas veterans have bravely served in all parts of the world, not only fighting for our freedoms, but for all mankind. And whereas the city of Bel Aire, Kansas, joins with other cities throughout the state of Kansas and the United States of America in honoring those who have given their lives and recognizing that their sacrifices were noble, their heroism unparalleled, and their dedication to God and country unforgettable. Now, therefore, I, Jim Bonage, by virtue of the power and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Bel Aire, do hereby proclaim May 27th as Memorial Day in the city of Bel Aire, and do urge all our citizens to join in remembering our veterans. Now I'll move on to determine agenda additions. Are there any agenda additions to consider? And hearing none, move on to the consent agenda. So the consent agenda contains the minutes of May 7, 2024 City Council meeting. The consent agenda also contains petitions and resolutions for improvements to serve Lissay addition. The petitions set the not to exceed cost for improvements and establishing a fair division of cost among the lots. The associated resolutions will authorize the funding of the improvements. The cost of all improvements will be eventually bonded and spread as special assessments to the benefiting lots. And finally, the Bel Aire Code states that city manager, city attorney, and municipal court judge must be reappointed annually in May, and these reappointments are also included in the consent agenda. Any questions concerning the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion to approve the consent agenda as listed and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Welch and a second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Next issue on the agenda is the appropriations ordinance. So this appropriation ordinance encompasses May 1, 2024 through May 14th, 2024 expenses and one payroll cycle. Expenditure amounts to $403,330 and no infrastructure costs were paid during this period. Any discussion concerning the appropriations ordinance?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Smith,
make a motion to approve appropriations ordinance number 24-09.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Mr. David. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. We have no city requested appearances tonight, so we'll move on to citizen concerns. And I have two requests for citizens to speak. I have Rosemary Wood, so I will call on Ms. Wood first. And with 3 minutes, please state your name and address, please, for the record.
Rosemary Wood, 4700 North Hillcrest, Bel Aire, Mayor, City Council members. It is quite apparent that my husband and I hit a nerve. We have been repeatedly warned and exactly the position where I was working desperately not to be in. Case in point, in the letter sent to us dated May 14th, why certified? I have already addressed the tall grass code in an email, now to address the structure code. Why is this an issue today? Back in October of 2023, Keith had been to my home to inspect our newly installed AC furnace and air cleaner. At that same time, my husband and I were looking into a backyard fence and what permits, ordinance, city requirements. Keith and I went to our backyard fence line and walked our property as we continued to talk. I remember distinctly stopping right next to our shed. We spoke for an additional 10 to 15 minutes. My question is, why Keith didn't point it out or notice the code violation then, 7 months ago? Additionally, the shed side in question cannot be seen by any adjoining neighbors. And because it's turned at an angle, camouflaged by trees, nor is it noticeable from our street, we would literally have to walk on our property. When we brought our concern about a possible code violation with our adjoining neighbor to the past city manager, months kept passing by. One of the reasons given for the delay was that the city could not just stop by the property without meeting with the property owner. Why weren't we given the same courtesy? The shed will be repaired because my husband and I grew up on ranches and we take pride on our property. We have already spent over $120,000 home improvements. One final note, regarding the backflow prevention program, I spoke with 2 city employees and to this day, I still do not know for certain nor receive confirmation if we are required to test. It is my understanding after my own research that we do not need to because it's not in use, capped off, or disabled our second water meter set up for irrigation. We are not required to test. Who shall I talk to? Because again, we're asking a question. And isn't that the tenet of what a positive, productive citizen should be doing? Thank you.
Thank you. With regards to the backflow preventer, I suggest you talk with our city staff and they will see if you're on the list that requires it. If the list requires it and you're not using it and it's been disabled, you can get that certified as disabled and get it off the list. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Kenny Wood, and same 3 minutes, and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor, council people. And I'm Kelly Wood, and I'm here with my wife.
I'm
Same
sorry,
address.
I said
Yeah.
Kenny, I'm sorry.
When she lets me in. I won't take up too much of your time. I just got to laugh for a second when I got the courtesy notice in regards to my barn. I don't think there's a doubt in the world that barn is dilapidated. It's hard to look at. It's an eyesore. I did not buy the property or the home for the barn, I assure you. It needs to be repaired. Things, and whoever built it needs help too. But the truth of the matter is that I've spent a lot of money and time on my actual dwelling. And at some point I will fix up that barn. But what kind of makes me laugh is, as my neighbors tell me, they're somewhat elderly, they said the barn was erected sometime in the early 80s. I make that barn almost 40 years old. I'm just kind of wondering why all of a sudden I'm approached to repair this barn at this kind of juncture in the road. Obviously, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to put some time and money into it, want to do a good job. But I'm just kind of wondering why it sat there for 40 years and then all of a sudden I get a courtesy notice for my barn. Can't believe somebody hasn't noticed it until now. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens that would like to speak to council tonight? Hearing none, I'll move on to council member reports. Oh, sorry. Mr. Dean.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Two quick things. A reminder for any citizens along K254 that tomorrow night, KDOT's hosting a K254 corridor management plan public meeting. There's been a few of these. It'll be tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7 at Circle Middle School in Benton. So if you're interested in what's happening, the discussion on K254 and the improvements, all are welcome. And then the second thing I wanted to mention is the Cops and Bobbers event that was hosted this weekend on Saturday by the Bel Aire PD and several other volunteers. It was a really great success. Took my daughters. There was over 50 people there to fish. I think it was the largest event that they've had since they've been hosting that, and just really appreciate Officer Fox, Officer Christ. There was a lot of our PD, and there was even somebody from Park City, I think, that joined in from their police department. So just appreciate their time and effort in helping to connect with our community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Did you have enough room around the perimeter of that lake?
It was pretty tight. It's kind of combat.
Okay.
It was fun.
All right. Good. Thank you. Mr. David.
No report, thank you.
Mr. Smith.
No report, thank you.
Mr. Welch.
I just wanted to say something about the cleanup event. I think it went pretty well. I did, however, notice an overabundance of swivel chairs being picked up. I don't know what's wrong with them, but and I did drive by the Cops and Bobbers, and it did look very well attended, but it wasn't as packed as tight, I don't think, as Tyler is. And I noticed somebody caught a really nice looking fish out of that pond. So congratulations to them.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Hamburg.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
Okay, we'll move on to city mayor's report. So I understand that Councilmember Welch had a birthday this last weekend. So happy birthday to Councilmember Welch. Do we have a picture we're going to put up on screen? There we are. So this is on the monitor is James. James was mowing the yard of a vacant house next to him. So a shout out to James for taking it on himself to do something to improve his neighborhood and the city. It's small things like this that make Bel Aire better on the edge. So to date, we have received 3 applicants for our open city council seat. Our city communications director did a great job setting up an online application process. So you go to the website to find this, or you may email me with a letter of interest and resume. We will receive applications until June 7th and hopefully make an appointment on June 18th. I'm pleased to announce that former City Councilwoman Peggy O'Donnell has been selected as an alternate regular delegate to represent Kansas and Milwaukee in July. I too have been selected as an alternate at-large delegate to represent Kansas and Milwaukee. Kansas will have 2 people from Bel Aire to represent the state. On May 11th, I attended the Sedgwick County Association of Cities meeting in Hayesville at the Senior Center. They did a nice job upgrading their Senior Center with pool tables, dartboards, and hockey, I think. I don't remember air hockey. I think it was air hockey, but and card tables with games. So it's a nice facility. I'm not saying we should do that, but it's a nice setup. There's still an opportunity for citizens to be appointed to the 911 Emergency Communications Community Advisory Board that the county is setting up. And so if you're interested in doing that, please email me if you're interested to such an appointment, as the Sedgwick County Association of Cities will make an appointment at its next meeting on July 13th for a person from a city of second class like Bel Aire, and also a city of the third class. And then we also heard from Brent Skelton, the county Deputy Chief Financial Officer. He presented a concept of reinvestment housing incentives called RHID to the county and the county policy on these. These look like a high hurdle for development to qualify, but we need to know about this opportunity should a developer approach us wanting to do this. These have 25-year tax abatements, so that can be a big deal to the county, the fire district, and the affected school board. I provided a copy of the county policy to our city manager, and applications can be vetoed by the county and or the affected school board. On May 14th, I attended the WAMPO TBD meeting. WAMPO is working to get some updated population projections for each regional community. They have enlisted the CEBDR at WSU to assist them with a consistent methodology. We also had a presentation on congestion management process. This is a subset of the travel demand module. This model is available for anyone to review, and it looks like it'd be for new project to be a good tool to utilize. Won't tell you everything, but tells you some things. So, and lastly, we saw a presentation for the latest concepts on the expansion of K96. That project most likely will start in 2027, but is not funded at this time, as funding is only done 2 years out. On May 15th, I attended the Sedgwick County Law Enforcement Memorial Service. Always great to honor those who have fell in the line of duty protecting our local citizens. On May 15th, I also attended the Utility Advisory Committee due to Chairman Art Tenbrick's illness. They are running a little behind on getting the water conservation plan updated. Hopefully they will get that done in the next month so we can have a review of that as a city council. And then on May 16th, I attended the Sedgwick County Fire District Steering Committee. County Appraiser Mark Clark gave a good presentation of the property appraisal process and requirements, and I gave a copy of that to our city manager. Tomorrow evening, as Councilmember Dean said, there's a K254 management plan presentation at Circle Middle School. So I encourage all to attend that who are interested in what the plans are for K254. And the meeting concerning regional transportation plan, that's a bus service, will be held here at Bel Aire City Hall in the community room on Wednesday, June 5th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we really need everyone's input on this in order for us to gain a regional transportation system. Most people that would be affected to be able to use that may not be able to send the meeting simply because that's why they need that system. So anybody can help and support that and it would be greatly appreciated. So I'll now ask our city attorney for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will give a short update regarding Charter Ordinance number 25. Charter Ordinance 25 and also our ordinary ordinance of 717, all involving whether or not the city of Bel Aire can exempt itself from the statute where we can start publishing certain items on the website. That was sent to the Sedgwick County Councilor. He received it and reviewed it. The language was approved to be consistent with the applicable provisions of the Kansas Constitution. It was also provided to the Sedgwick County Election Commissioner as well. They received it and reviewed it, and the language, we received a response that it would be placed upon the August 6th primary election ballot. There are certain rules for publishing on these ordinances. The charter ordinance must be published twice and sent to the Secretary of State per Kansas statute. The ordinance that calls for the special election, which will be in conjunction with the August 6th primary, that must be published for 3 specific weeks. The publishings have already started. They're running simultaneously with one another. If anybody would like to read them, they can go online to the website under the icon of legal publications and notices. It's there present, both of them. It has all of the signatures and the dates of publishing. If anybody doesn't have access to the website, they can come to the city hall and staff will print them a staff report and also the ordinance as well. But just wanted to give a brief update to everyone to let them know what the status is.
Very good. Thank you. I'll now ask our city manager for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some residents might have seen 53rd Street will be closed next Tuesday for phase 1 of the project. It'll be closed from Oliver to Pinecrest, with half of Pinecrest closed and the other half open. They're going to do some crossroad pipe installation, and still has a meeting tomorrow to get the full picture, and then we'll do a full rollout. But we felt it was necessary for the message boards if we're going to do that. This phase one, is expected to last through Friday, June 7th. So everybody will have to use the 53rd and Woodlawn to get in and out of that street. The other thing I wanted to highlight a little bit of the rec center and their activities that's been going on. We had 181 kids in indoor soccer, 24 kids in blast ball, 4-year-olds in blast ball. There are about 30 participants in the golf clinic and Happy Feet soccer, 103 participants in 8 Bel Aire rec teams that play in the Wichita Heights Junior baseball and softball leagues. Pickleball, there's about 300 participants a month that go through to do pickleball. Exercise classes, about 27, and drop-ins is about 100, a little over 500 people a month drop into our rec center. Summer camp is at 95% capacity right now, and 860 seniors have participated in some form of event that they have. So I really just want to give a shout out to Brian and his crew that do an amazing job for our city. Lastly, Keachai is opening their brush site this Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. As you know, Bel Aire residents can use that site. So because of the storm last Sunday, if anybody wants to drop off their limbs, they can. And city offices will be closed on Monday, Memorial Day. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Very good.
Can you give us a location on the brush site? I don't really know where it is. Okay. Sorry. Put you on the spot and you don't have the answer.
Want to give him a minute to do that?
Unless somebody else knows the answer.
I don't.
Anderson, but I don't know exactly where.
I've never driven by it. I don't know anything about it.
I don't know where it is.
I thought I was throwing a softball there.
So go down Oliver, take a left on Jaden Street, and then a left on Anderson Street. It's kind of a picture with an X on it. So I would suggest you look up either Keachai or Bel Aire. Have it both on our website, as well as our Facebook has a link post to it as well. So it's kind of a map. I think it's not necessarily an address.
Is your mic on?
Not anymore. So I would suggest citizens look at a website or Facebook post. So I know Kylie posted it earlier today. So
Okay. Very
Thank you,
good.
Ted.
Thank you. I am going to ask if we could go to executive session. I see a particular guest just showed up. And so I'd like to ask a motion to move to executive session and change the agenda to that. We need a 30-minute executive session.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg.
I'm going to make a motion that we move our executive session up to this portion in front of item 12.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Ms. Hamburg, a second by Mr. Smith. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We're going to, we need to ask a motion for the executive session, and we'd like 30 minutes. Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I'll motion to go into executive session for the sole purpose of discussing the subject of attorney-client consultation regarding contractual obligations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. Invite the city manager, city attorney, city engineer, and Neil Ghosh. The meeting will be for a period of 30 minutes, and the open meeting will resume in city council chambers at 8 p.m.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Dean and a second by Ms. Hamburg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Executive session for 30 minutes. Return at 8 o'clock. Okay, we're held in executive session. No binding action was taken. I'm going to call the meeting back to order, and we'll move back up to agenda item 12A. So this has to do with solid waste collection and recycling agreement with Waste Connections. We approved a contract with them in 2016, which allows Waste Connections to request up to 2% annual increase from the utility operator, the city. And Waste Connections has requested another increase due to inflation and other economic pressures that have escalated their operational costs. And Mr. Herschel West is here to speak with us and answer questions. Mr. West, you can please come up to the podium, microphone, so we can get you recorded.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for your time. First of all, I want to thank you for your business for this past year. Hopefully continue for a few more years. First, I want to ask how service, any questions, any issues with service or any concerns this past year? Anything? Hopefully we've been doing a quality and great job.
I've not heard of any concerns. I think you do everything that we asked you to do.
Good deal.
I think you do good.
You mentioned the cleanup. We just did that
We
Saturday.
appreciate that.
I don't have the tons, if you guys are asking, but I can get the tonnage to you later this week, just to kind of give you an idea how much we threw away. It haven't posted yet on our system, so hopefully it'll be on there tomorrow. If anybody's interested, I can get that to you.
We did not throw away as much as we could have, though.
And the swivel chairs, I'm thinking COVID, people bought new ones to work from home, and they're just now getting rid of their old ones. I don't know.
I'm just saying, there's people that drive around and pick stuff up that looks good. Everything I put out, everything I put out was gone Friday night, except for one item, which you guys did not pick up.
We did miss a couple streets. I don't know if hopefully that was one, but we got that taken care of Monday morning.
It was one of those that was kind of could go either way. I had a couple of pieces of plywood in an old window. So
Okay.
they might have classified that as construction and just skipped it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's that time of the year again. We're requesting a 2% increase. Or I guess you can say a total of 27 cents if you use a 95-gallon cart for the year. Wichita prices to compare. If we were allowed the 2% increase, the trash weight would go to $10.06 per month. If you call into Wichita and want the same service, it's $22 a month. Recycle, if you call into our office and request recycle service for every other week, it's $14 per month. And we're requesting $3.54 for the year. So hopefully the 2% is our request for 2% is a good reason. Hopefully you guys can do something for us.
Well, this is really a city council decision. It's not my decision. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the issues of inflation and things. How have your fuel costs gone over the last year? I've seen they've kind of been up and down for everything else,
Up and
but I don't know
down.
what yours is.
It's a little higher than it was a year ago, but it's been higher, but it's kind of gone back down some. But it's still higher than it was a year ago.
Okay. And what about labor costs? How's your labor pool?
Labor, I'm not sure on the labor cost, but operating expenses, everything is still increasing. Like I said, just the cost of doing all of our operating costs, tires, oil, everything has increased a lot more than 2%.
Are you able to get the people you need?
Here in the last 12 to 18 months, it's gotten a lot better.
Mhm.
It was very tough to keep drivers. We would hire somebody and then they would maybe last 6 months.
Yeah.
But here in the last 12 months, it's been a lot better.
Yeah.
We're
That's
keeping
kind of why I'm
drivers.
hearing across the industries that I deal with, but I just wondered if you're seeing that same thing.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Plus the city here is growing. Everything, all these new homes out here on 53rd. in
That
this
makes
area
you
is
just
really
more
growing.
efficient.
What's that?
That just makes you more efficient, right?
We had to change a few routes to make that happen. But
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Badaj, I will say their customer service is great. Herschel is helping us. We have a lot of construction projects, a lot of new residents, and Herschel's always first to answer, and he does a good job on there and on the customer service side.
Good, thank you. Ms. Hamburg.
Since you're here and you sat 30 minutes through our executive session, I was curious, are there any, it's not totally related to the 2%, but are there any cities or where we do recycling every other week, where they do trash service also every other week? I mean, I know oftentimes we'll only put our trash out, every once or twice a month if we just don't have enough. Are there any cities that are doing that, or would that even ever fit in your operations to come every other week and kind of minimize wear and tear on the streets and that sort of thing?
Nothing, no other city has talked to us about every other week. I think it's an ordinance where it has to be weekly. I'm not sure about the city of Bel Aire, but I know city of Wichita, it has to be picked up weekly. And I think during the summer months, you probably want the trash picked up weekly.
Even most of the other months. There's things that go out that I don't want to keep in my house.
The only other thing I was going to ask, Mr. Mayor, is Ted, can you explain kind of the change down the road possibly for the administrative cost?
Yep, perfect. So this has always been an interesting case study, and that what we want to do in the future is, one, have Waste Connections rate and then an administrative fee on top of it. So it's way more transparent for residents what is being increased, the Waste Connection fee or the administrative fee, to do all the sign-in, sign-ons, or sign-ups that we process downstairs, as well as all the phone calls and cart movements and all those types of services that our staff provides, as well as we have a new ERP system that this is going to be involved with. So I wanted to structure an administrative fee that captures those costs, not necessarily that is side by side with what Waste Connections charges us. So it's way more transparent for the citizens to see, okay, did Waste Connections increase or the city increase, that type of thing. Also, it's kind of hard to pass everything at the same time with the resolution, because it's a little confusing, because Waste Connections charges us a fee and then we charge the fee on to the residents. So I wanted to split them up in meetings, so hopefully residents have an understanding of it wasn't necessarily the city increasing, it's Waste Connections charging the city, increasing on the city. Does that help? And we'll get into it probably first meeting in June or so.
Okay.
I was just going to say, that was useful to me. The past 2 years, I've voted against it. I think went for a 1% increase. And part of it was because I didn't know how much efficiency the city was bringing to it. The data that we had in our packet was really helpful. And what what he shared about if you're going to call up and just try to get this rate, we're getting a good rate. It's hard to, considering cost, and the service is very good. And what we get at festivals throughout the year, and the portable bathrooms and that sort of thing, things that I frankly forget about sometimes. So, and the cleanup twice a year. So I'm going to support this 2% increase this year. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Smith.
I really like the proposal from our city manager on that administrative fee, because we've had confusion in the past when Mr. West talks about the new rate from the podium. That doesn't match what is on our utility bills, because there's the administrative fee that's added to it, and that's just confusing. And so separating that out, I think, is a great idea. This one's hard because our contract gives us the option to increase or not to increase, and so it kind of feels like you're voting to take on expense that you don't have to. But the state of our economy and the inflation that is everywhere, I can very much appreciate the need for an inflation-based increase. Inflation's been a lot more than 2% for a couple of years now, and so I will probably actually support this year.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I was also going to comment on just looking at the letter. I appreciate you putting together some of this information so we can kind of digest it and see what the trend has been. The one that stuck out to me, and I'll kind of second that your service has been great since I've lived in Bel Aire, since you've been serving Bel Aire. It's been great. The one that stuck out to me was the 8 years of service total increase of $1.10, which is about a 1.1% increase over like 8 or 9% over 8 years. And I do understand the inflationary costs, so I'll be supporting the 2% as well. Thank you.
Okay, so we got a lot of folks supporting this. Is anybody going to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg.
I'm going to make a motion to approve a 2% rate increase for solid waste and recycling services fees paid by the city to Waste Connections effective July 1st, 2024. Any changes to the rate the city Bel Aire charges to customers for trash and recycling service will be discussed and approved by resolution at a future city council meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Hamburg, a second by Mr. Welch. Any additional questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5% or 5-0. And yeah, 5%. So anyway, I wanted to say, so thank you. And I apologize for making you wait an extra
that's all
half
right,
hour.
that's all
That's on me. That's my bad. And I surely apologize for that. But we
Thank
have-
you very much. I do have one more
Question.
question. You're talking about construction on 53rd. Is that going to, are we going to be able to get to those areas?
Yeah. will
Deb's
know
on
that.
it. We have a meeting tomorrow. with
Okay,
her,
so just let me know.
yeah.
right.
So
Thank you very much.
thank you. We're on to item B. So this is pump house. Their quotes. So the pump house is essential for controlling the amount of water Wichita supplies to Bel Aire with a capacity of up to 1.8 million gallons per day, which I think we've ever used that much. But anyway, so these pumps regulate the water flow through the main lines and ensure our water towers are filled, providing residents with adequate water pressure and clean water daily. As our city's population grows, the demand for water is increasing, and the 4 original pumps installed in 1985 are now insufficient to meet the growing demand. Currently, only 3 of the 4 pumps are operational, and those are not running at full capacity. So Marty McGee, Director of Public Works, is here to present and answer questions. Mr. McGee. It's all yours.
Any questions on this? I mean, I think I put a lot in the package there, all the information that we've discussed this a couple times. And this is the main source going from Wichita, feeding our water towers, and they're starting to fail. We're having to replace them or repair them a lot. Staff is having to go in, reset them quite often. And so we decided to go this route. This is what needs to be done.
So these pumps are, you're not, I've heard that some pumps are being obsoleted. You can't replace them. I don't know if you're experiencing that with these particular pumps, but I've heard that that's been going on. Is
These
that an
pumps-
issue with these?
Yes, these pumps are, they could possibly be rebuilt one more time,
Mhm.
but after that, you're not going to be able to find parts for it. And I've talked to 4 contractors on this, and they're all saying the same thing. The best thing to do is pull them out and put new pumps in. And it's, if you looked at the price, it's for the rebuild, it's only a couple $1,000s more for the new pumps.
Right.
So
This includes backflow preventers too, or not?
backflow preventers are been replaced already.
They're done already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to replace all 4 pumps. That's what
This-
you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
And this is the price for all 4?
All 4 pumps, the volutes. Let's see, that's the motors. That will be the valves, the actuators, and any pipe that needs to be done. So anything that needs to be done on it, this is the set price that they came up with and said they can do it.
And it includes installation cost, right?
Installation, some of the concrete's going to have to be modified to where those pumps sit on. That's included on here.
Package deal. Okay.
Yep. That's all included.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the quote from JCI in the amount of $53,559 exactly to replace 4 water pumps in the Bel Aire pump house and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Welch, a second by Mr. Dean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Move on to item C. So this is manhole rehabilitation. So there are 13 manholes at various locations that require repairs due to damage caused by corrosive gases. These gases are deteriorating the concrete walls of the manholes, causing the lining to flake off and enter the sewing lift stations. The debris could potentially lead to pump failures and backups. Last year, the city purchased lining material Raven 405 for the Rock Road manhole project. However, after further investigation, it was determined that this material could not be used at that location due to excessive damage to the manhole. So the Raven 504 product has a 1-year shelf life. So it sounds like we got to use this right away, and must be utilized on other manholes before it expires in January 2025. So staff has solicited bids from 3 contractors for the manhole repairs, and each Marty McGee, Director of Public Works, here to answer questions on this.
So as the mayor just said, we purchased it last year. It's sitting on a shelf. We got a couple more months before this expires. So what we did was go through, staff went through, found 13, actually we found more than that, but we made a straight line and said, these manholes need to be relined because of the gases that are deteriorating them. So we came up with this, had a couple estimates, and I believe this is the right thing to do with this material.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Smith.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal from UMC in the amount of $34,200 and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Dean. Any other discussion or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean,
Marty,
David.
any idea why the quotes are so drastically different?
Well, it's the gases in the sewer line. For years, I think a lot of stuff's been neglected. Our lift stations are, got high BOD and fog, and we're working on that right now. What's going to come up soon is the Rock Road all the way down to 53rd. We got 14, I believe, 15 manholes that actually need to be replaced that we talked about not too long ago. So this is part of all the problem that we're having. So once these get lined, once we get everything cleaned, televised, that's down the line, and we're going to determine what's going on. We're working with PEC, Rebecca, right? Rebecca. Scratch that. We're working on it. We're gonna address this problem and get it fixed. We got a lot of things going on.
But why is there 90,000 difference in the cost?
Without saying something about one person or the other, I believe maybe one person has the right tools to do it, and the other one has to purchase the tools to do it with, because one contractor told me they're the only person in town that can legally spray this. So I
Just want to
can't
make
answer
sure that they understood the job.
right. No,
To
they
your
totally understood it.
satisfaction.
I talked to them a few times
Okay.
about this. So
Good question.
That's good. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Move on to item D. So this is a sewer camera equipment. So the city is responsible for proper sewer maintenance and monitoring. And Bel Aire has approximately 60 miles of sewer lines that need regular cleaning and inspection via televising to identify and prevent any damage. Such damage can be caused by the caustic nature of the raw sewage, tree roots, shifting ground, or occasionally by other utilities. Each year, the staff sections off parts of the city to clean and televise, ensuring the sewer system functions properly and maintains adequate flow. Previously, this work was outsourced because we lacked the necessary equipment, which is costly based on the size and footage of the neighborhoods. So Marty is here to talk about this as well.
Marty, before you start, I had Kylie cut up kind of what we're looking at, and I was going to play it for everybody.
Go down sewer.
So this is root system inside there right now that you're looking at, and this is showing how they're cutting that root system out. That's just water jetting right there. So that's actually just spraying it across, and that clears the clog.
Use water jet to cut those roots?
You do.
You,
You put,
how much damage do you do to the walls when you hit that?
you don't, it's
It's that
amazing,
directed,
but
huh?
it doesn't.
Okay. That's pretty powerful stuff,
It is.
up to 100,000 PSI.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're doing it that high, but I knew
No.
no water jet runs that high.
We jet it no more than 2,000 PSI.
2,000, okay.
After you remove that clog, is there any kind of treatment to prevent the roots coming back?
No.
Okay.
That's why it's important to go through here, like camera it, find out what's going on. So what my plan is, we're gonna go through this whole town. We're gonna section this off in 10 different sections through the whole town. And this is what I want to do. I want to be able to go to each section of town, camera it, clean it, have footage of it, just like you've seen there. And we can look back at that, and we can, if we have a backup or anything, we can look back of it and say, at this time last year, we had it clean, there's nothing. Then we can determine, was there a collapse? Was there something going on? With having a camera, you just stick it back down in the hole, you run it back down through there, you'll see exactly what's going on without having to call a contractor out to do this work. So to have a contractor come out and clean this, they charge us $2 a linear foot. So, and we have 988 linear feet, which is 60 foot or 60 miles of sewer in town. So to clean everything in town, we're looking at $622,000, 26.60. So it's quite a bit of money to have somebody come out here and camera stuff and look at it and determine if we have something wrong in our sewer systems.
But this only buys a camera. It doesn't buy, this doesn't buy the equipment to actually cut out the roots and that kind of thing, right? Or
This
what does it
purchase
do?
right here, purchase everything. So no, we've already purchased that last year. We bought that sewer truck.
Uh-huh.
So with the sewer truck, we have that capability to go in there and do exactly what you just seen.
So you cut out the roots, you find the collapses, you go fix them.
Right,
Maybe you can't. Maybe you have to excavate to do those. Depends on what they are. I get it.
right.
Okay.
So we can determine what the problem is. We can, and then we would probably hire somebody out to come out and fix the line. They're usually 18, 22 feet deep. And I wouldn't want my crew out there doing it because I don't think they've had the experience in doing that.
Yeah.
So,
But you can identify exactly where you need to go with this as well.
right, exactly. We can say it's 10 feet down the line and it's at section here, blah, 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 so all that's digitally recorded with this sewer camera, and it gives you that exact footage that we just looked at. So, plus it comes with this one comes with a trailer, a totally enclosed trailer with looks like an office, and the camera and everything would be set up in there. So in the wintertime, in the summertime, you got heat, air.
Where are we going to put this trailer?
That was my question too, but I wasn't going to
That's
ask.
coming. That's coming.
It's going to park out back for now if you guys approve it, but that's.
Put a tarp over it.
I
we're
think
gonna have to figure
I think
that
the
out.
the last element is the service element. I've been the risk manager for the city for a long time now, and when we have a backup happening, it's a very intense time in our office. And with this, Marty can go right on the scene and find out exactly what's going on. There's been a few times where we had to call in because we didn't have this type of capabilities. So yes, it does allow us better mapping, better cleaning, better identification for the city. It saves us money, but it also increases our service to our customers. And that's pretty important as well.
Marty, quick question about your plan, like going across the city and doing it. What are you thinking number of footage per year? Like how fast is this going to pay itself back? Is it going to be a 5 or 6 year deal? Like,
So I did Summit Hill. We were going to start on Summit Hill, and that was 17,000. Was it 17,900 feet or something like that? So I called Mayor and I asked them just, hey, can you give me a quote on camera it and clean it? That's $24,000. That's one section. So, and depending on what sections we go through, we could have more, we could have less, we could have more. Within a year and a half, 2 years, this is going to pay for itself. I mean, just in paying a contractor to do what we're doing. So,
And through every couple years and cleaning lines and televising right currently on your current schedule.
right. But what I'm trying to do is get more accurate readings of what we got. And so I can determine where we've been and where we're going. That's what
Gotcha.
I'm trying to do.
And
Mr. Mayor.
you're keeping these records on your computers so that you can pull them back up when you need them, right?
It's on the shared drive so everybody can see it.
Mr. Smith.
So is the plan then to clean all the sewer lines every year, or is that going to be on a 3-year rotation, a 5-year rotation? What does that look like?
There's no way we can do it every year. I would
Yeah.
have to hire 3, 4 more people and say, this is your job for every day. So what I'm going to do is dedicate 2 people to this, and we're going to work 1 week doing it, and then we're going to work doing something else for another week. Then we're going to revert back, and we're going to interchange everybody. So every other week, there's going to be somebody on them.
And
So-
do you have a projection on how long it will take you to get through the system?
I do not, to tell you the truth. I cannot even answer that.
I mean, if you did 50,000 feet a year, it's 5-6 years. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was coming from. I bet
Yeah.
that's a realistic estimate.
Yeah.
If I were to just take a guess, like,
Right.
it seems like something that's worthwhile. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand what the payback is, how long it is. But I totally understand how it could benefit our city from a service standpoint too. So thank you for putting together, Marty.
I just started looking at this. We've had 3 backups this year, and we don't know until it happens. With something like this, we have a program moving forward. Maybe we've been there last week. We can tell, hey, it was something they flushed or something that came through the line. It's not because of us or root buildup or something like that. So we could drop the camera down there and see exactly what it is and determine where it came from.
I just hope you don't find another mop head.
We're actually working on that too with everybody around town. So
It'll probably help us with investigation, which will help us be preventative, is what you're kind of getting at, I think. So.
yes, sir.
One thing that doesn't really get mentioned that I see that nobody else does is Marty's haggling ability is
Oh.
pretty
Don't put it in there.
pretty astonishing. He gets really good prices because he's very steadfast in what we're buying and where we're at.
We appreciate that.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the proposal from MPE Equipment in the amount of $104,995 exactly for sewer camera equipment and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Welch and a second by Ms. Hamburg. Any additional questions or discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, guys.
Item E. So each year, the city council selects a council member to serve as council president. And the council president provides over meetings and represents the governing body when the mayor is not available. So Justin Smith has been council president since 2021. And Justin's resignation, a new council president must be selected to fill that role.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I move to appoint Emily Hamburg as council president for 2024.
I'll second.
I'd prefer we had Greg David.
I have a motion and on the floor
And then
by
we have
Mr. Dean
discussion.
and a second by Mr. David. Okay, and so you will additional discussion. So,
I just said, I'd prefer we had Greg David.
okay.
I'm going to throw something in here that may switch your decision to Greg as well. I'm going to be gone with our annual vacation. That's going to kind of shift with those 5 weeks in July. And I believe you're going to be gone on the 16th in July as well. So I wouldn't be available for probably the first and only time he's going to need backup. So
So
I may not be supporting this motion.
Are you declining? Is that,
are you declining this?
I'm happy to serve. I don't have my heart set on it.
Okay.
I appreciate the motion, but I think just functionally, this isn't the year to do it.
Justin will still be here in July, right?
when is your last date?
Well, it depends on when we replace him.
We can't
may
replace him until he's gone, though.
All right. It may be, we may have a replacement in June. I don't have that crystal ball, but we might. So, But I do have a motion on the floor, and there's a couple options. I want to pursue these with our city attorney to make sure I say this right. So I'm going to just throw it out there. We can entertain a sub motion, which has to be voted on before the motion, if that's the case. Or we can vote in this motion, vote it down, and then come in with a replacement motion. So a couple options there if you want to pursue those options.
Okay, I'll make a substitute motion that we appoint Greg David council president.
Okay, I have substitute motion from Mr. Welch for Greg David to be.
I'm going to second it. And I just want to ask Greg, would that work for your schedule and would you be willing to do it?
I'm planning to be here in July, but I think we could get by 1 month if that's the only issue. I did second the original motion.
So did you second the motion?
I wanted the discussion portion.
It's
Yes.
still discussion. Okay,
Oh, I thought you said you seconded.
I seconded it because I thought I had to since you made the motion
Okay.
to even have discussion.
okay, all right. Well, that is true. You do. We do have to have a
If you
second.
want a discussion, yeah, it
Right.
had to be seconded. but
Right.
It could have
Okay.
failed without a second.
All right. So do we need more discussion about this before I call any votes?
So I was just going to point out that July is kind of a weird month. Like, I know we haven't really talked about our schedule and the meeting schedules, but that first Tuesday is going to be a couple days before the 4th. I don't know what other people's schedules are. There's a chance that some of us aren't even here that week. So I don't know if our schedule shuffling will probably end up hurting anything we decide tonight. It feels like, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I think we're always going to have issues with schedules. Occasionally we're going to have somebody miss. So I'll just throw that out as food for thought.
So the whole reason you need this position is because there are times I just cannot be available, right? And while I try to minimize that, it still happens. And that's part of the schedule shuffle that goes on, right? Okay. Just this is a interesting coincidence because of the things that we just learned in the last few days. It wasn't something that we even knew a week ago for certain. I mean, we knew it was a possibility, but it was confirmed Sunday.
I can't remember the last time Justin even had to act as president. Do you?
I think it was last year.
Yeah.
About once a year.
Yeah.
So, okay. So if there's no other discussion, I do need to call a vote on the sub motion first, which is a motion by Mr. Welch to appoint Mr. David, and that was seconded by Ms. Hamburg. So all in favor of the sub motion, say aye.
Aye.
You're one. Is that right?
Aye.
Oh, did you say aye?
Yeah,
Okay, two.
because
Okay, two.
this
All
is for the remainder of 2024, right?
Right. Yeah. In
So we
January,
will
do
revisit
all
this in
over.
January.
In January,
Then-
we start it
then
all
let
over.
Greg do it.
Yeah. Right. You're absolutely right. Okay. So I have two ayes for the sub motion, and I all opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
You're abstaining. Okay. So you're opposed, Mr. David?
Yes.
And Mr. Dean?
I said aye.
So you're
I'm
opposing?
approving.
You're in favor of the motion.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think we've discovered that it doesn't really matter. So I'm just,
So,
I'll go with the sub motion.
Okay, so I'm going to say,
Affirmative. Sorry.
we have three affirms and one against on the sub motion and one
And one
abstaining,
abstain. Yes.
Mr. Well, or Mr. Smith.
So to be
Okay.
clear,
Sorry.
the person that's opposed is the one who's going to be doing it.
Right. He's opposed to it. He doesn't want to.
Clearly, he didn't lobby hard
Drag-
enough.
Dragging his feet in there. Right. Yeah, we have to vote on the sub motion first. Okay. All right. So that motion passes 3-1 with Mr. Smith abstaining, and that negates the motion. Is that correct?
That does away with the prior original motion.
Okay.
Sure, gonna
Very good.
resign.
So we don't need a vote.
Here you go.
I guess
Okay.
I was going to say, however, if you firmly refuse, you can resign right now.
Throw it back out.
So congratulations. I guess you can consider that resignation in a couple months. Only council president resignation, though. Be very clear about this. Okay.
It's
So-
educational in the voting process.
Going on to item F. So the Bel Aire Public Building Commission consists of 3 members. One is the mayor, the second is a city council member, and the third is a Bel Aire citizen resident. The terms of the mayor and council member are on the PVC are served concurrently with the terms of their elected office. So Justice Smith is the council representative, and his term expires in 2025. But with his resignation, he's no longer eligible to be on the Public Building Commission. So we need to appoint a council member to be on the Public Building Commission. This meets once or twice a year.
I would motion to name Councilmember Dean to the Public Building Commission.
I'll second.
Mr. Dean, is that acceptable to you?
Yep, I will accept. Thank you.
Motion from Mr. Welch, a second by Mr. David. Any discussion?
It's just a technical question. Did you have to make the nomination just the way our motion is worded here?
I kind of wondered about that too.
Yeah.
That's why I stated it differently.
Oh, yeah, I'm not making that appointment. Am I making that appointment? I didn't make it.
No, I think it would just be motion to appoint.
Okay, so I motion to name him as Public Building Commission. Is that suitable, or do we need to rephrase?
No, that's correct. That's
So it's motion to name.
I'll second as amended.
It's not amended.
That's the way he stated.
That's the way I
Okay.
stated it.
He's just clarifying for her benefit that that's the way he stated it. Is that acceptable?
yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Welch, a second by Mr. David to appoint or to name Councilmember Tyler Dean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
You're abstaining? Okay, so I have 4 ayes and no negatives and 1 abstain from Mr. Smith. Very good. All right, move on to discussion of future issues. Anything we need to discuss for future issues? Hearing none, we can take a motion to adjourn unless you just want to stay here.
So
Early.
moved.
You're making the motion, Mr. David?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. David, a second by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. If you're opposed to it, too bad. You can stay here. The rest of us are going home.